Yes, my friends, if you are watching this, I am in an Udi, and no, I'm not at the conference, unfortunately. I just stay at home because we've got a lot of family holidays coming up. We go to Gran Canaria on the 30th, and there's too much stuff going on. Anyway, so today, I was talking to some friends yesterday. So this is going to be, it's just a brainstorm. It's just like a brain dump because I'm going to put it all down in some sort of training. And I'm really, really fascinated by it. And I've been speaking to commercial experts as well. So basically, it's buy to let versus self storage because I've got loads of friends who are in a very fortunate position and bought quite a lot of property and they're looking at getting in self storage. We've also got some property guys in the self storage community as well, and we've been talking. Well, I put a post up about property versus self storage, and I think self storage is the best in class investment that you can make at the minute, and I want, you know me, I like my data, I like my facts, and I like the numbers to back up what I'm saying. And so what we've done is for the last couple of days, I've been speaking to many, many, many people, and I've used the best example that I can find within my friend circle. And then we're going to compare it to self-storage. And I haven't handpicked anything. It's just the latest area that we're looking at, the offer that we put in. It's just this. It's the best buy to let that my friends have got versus just one self storage, and we're going to compare and contrast. And yes, obviously, there's pros and cons. There's time you've got to put in for self storage that you might not have to put in for property, but you might have to as well. Okay, so it's basically buy to let versus self storage. Which is a better investment? So what we're going to do is we're going to start with, and like I said, this is just a brain dump at the minute. This isn't me going into the full facts just yet. I've just been fascinated by it because of what my friends has been talking to me about, and I found it interesting that they've got so much property and they appear to be doing really, really well out of property, but they'll want to get into self storage. I mean, it could be me banging the self storage drum, bum diddly bum 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 diddly bum 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 diddly bum, as much as I do. I obviously bang it all the time, and maybe they're thinking, well, ping pangs their strum all the time. We're going to look into it. But yeah, they've looked into it, and they're numbers people, the financial people. They're very, very good at what they do, and yeah, they seem to want to transition now to self storage. So I've been trying to look into it. And by the way, it's bloody freezing. Yes, I'm wearing a hoodie. It's bloody freezing out here. It's a wind. Right. So it's buy to let. I did put in the self storage community property versus self storage, and one of the property experts in the commercial real estate industry said, oh, it's not really property, Dean, is it's buy to let. Don't tie all property with buy to let. So I'm like, yeah, fair point. Okay, I get your point. And so I've asked him for his numbers, and we'll see if he can share. I'm sure he will do because he shares on his podcast as well. And so yeah, it's a self storage community. And by the way, I do realize the price for the self storage community is $297 a month. I know that's quite expensive, but you do get a hell of a lot. So what I'm doing to do is I'm going to look at making it cheaper for the first, I don't know, so many people, and then we'll look at increasing the price. It's an awesome community. I really enjoy it. I think it's been fantastic. And so what we'll do is we'll discount the price. I'll let you guys know about it. We'll discount the price, and then we'll increase the price later on. But there's already been an amazing training put in there by somebody by Will. He's put an amazing training, a step-by-step guide how to set up your Google ads. So anybody can do it. I've looked at it. I can do it. If I can do it, I guarantee you can do it because I'm rubbish at them sort of things. I haven't got the attention span. I'm just terrible. Right. So here's a really, really good deal that my friend did in property. And he did this during COVID, not when COVID prices rocketed. It was at the start of COVID when prices dipped. He thought everything was too cheap. And by hell, he was right. He said that it's like an elastic band. If it goes one way, it flicks back the other. And he said that house prices at the minute are too cheap, and I know that I can get I can get a great return because people are fearful. When exactly what Warren Buffett says, when people are fearful, be aggressive sort of thing, and when people have been aggressive, be fearful. Where's that effect? You know what I mean? So basically saying do what everybody do, go against what everybody else does, and if you do, you will get great results. Right. And by the way, that is not financial advice. That is what Warren Buffett says. And he's done all right. Right. So my friend bought a house for £55,000. He paid £10,000. He paid cash, by the way. So let's pretend like we're going to do both ways. So he paid £55,000 for this house. He did £10,000 worth of work. It took him 6 months because he did it himself. This was his full-time job. This is what he does. He buys property, does them up, and so this was his full-time job. And by the way, it took him 6 months, but he does work for me. He does work for other people. You know, he just likes to do it, pick and choose when he goes. So could that have been a lot less? Yes, probably half that time if he was doing it full-time. But I haven't taken into consideration his working. So he probably got 3 months of full-time work there. Right, so that's £65 in total. The returns are the returns, he gets £575 a month renting it out, and that's £6,900 per year. Luckily, he's never had a vacant month, 2 months, whatever. He's never had any vacancy whatsoever. So that's £6,900 a year returns divided by the initial outlay, which is £65,000. And we haven't included the 6 months time period it's taken him to do up the house, which obviously that is a cost, because not everybody, and I understand not everybody can take 3 months, 6 months to do up a house and do that full time. He's very, very lucky where money isn't really an object to him. He just does it as and when he wants. He's in no rush to rent out the house. That's why he didn't do it real quickly, 6 months. He just does it when he feels like it, which is completely fair enough. So 6,900 divided by 65,000. So 6,900 is a return he's getting every single year. By the outlay, £65,000. That is a 10.6 return. So he paid that in cash. If it was a mortgage, it would be a 25% deposit. I mean, I don't know these things because I haven't got any spare cash. To do buy to let, all my money's in self-storage. So if it was, this is what he said, if it's a buy to let, then you'd have to put 25% deposit down for a mortgage. Very interestingly, though, he did say that he doesn't really do mortgages, but this is what he's led to believe: 25% deposit. Don't come at me if it isn't right, if you can get it, if you can get more deposit. But this is, I'm just going on the back of what somebody who's got many houses has said. And I think he's got maybe 1 or 2 on a mortgage, not many. And so he's looked at the pros and cons and he buys outright. And he is, by the way, looking at remortgaging at the minute to buy more houses, to make it cash flow as a whole business. But the rates are too high, apparently, at the minute. Like I said, I'm not in that world, so I just take his word as gospel. Right, so 25% deposit. If it was a buy-to-let, that would be on a £55,000 house, it would be £13,750 deposit, plus the £10,000 work. We're excluding the time and effort that he takes to do the improvements. So it's £13,750 deposit plus £10,000 work. It's carried out on the building, on the house, to make it look a bit better. Is £23,750 total cash in. He gets £6,900 per year. So that is a 29% return cash on cash. So that's okay. And by the way, I put as notes, this was 4 years ago, and the worth of a property now is 95,000. Like I say, this is the best example to show property in the best light, the buy to let, because he bought it during COVID when it was a downturn. So he bought it at under market value, and now because prices have gone up in the area, it's worth £95,000, or so he says. Whether it is or not, I don't know, because we're all emotionally connected to the outcome, aren't we? Especially when it's something that we've done ourselves. And do you know what? I'm going to put my bloody hood up. I mean, let's have a look what I look like. Yeah. Oh dear. Right. At least my ears are warm anyway. So hopefully, do you know what? I don't know if you guys can still hear me because it's covering my thingy. The wife's looking at me like I'm an absolute wally. Yeah. So is it worth £95,000? Who knows? We're going to have to take it at face value. So it's gone up a substantial amount. However, right, when we look at self-storage, I don't have the figures right. See if I can, I'll tell you what, I'll pause it and see if I can get the figures right here, right now, right. Pause, stop. All right, I've got the exact figures here because I've just done a training inside the course on cash return versus return on investment. I didn't know I was going to do it, but I started looking on cash versus return on investment because I realized I talk about both, and we did it in yesterday's. We spoke about it in yesterday's podcast, and so this is a place that we're looking at. We're putting an offer in, and yeah, it looks a really nice site. It's not perfect by any stretch of imagination. It's very, very small. It's expensive, but it should fill up relatively quickly. Okay, so in comparison, we've got £45,000 on capital expenses, 45,600, but I'm going to round up and round down. So 45,600 on capital expenses to improve the property, just like my friend's done, £10,000 to improve the property. The cash flow needed to get to a cash flow positive point of view. And this is, by the way, this is worst case scenario. This is only renting out one unit per week in self-storage, one container a week, which obviously I've never, ever, ever had a site where we're just renting out one container a week. And so I always try to do cash flows on worst case scenario, just so I'm covered if the worst case happens, because the last thing I want to do is have cash flow problems, because I know how stressful that can be. And cash flow problems are a company killer. There's not many things in business that are company killers. Cash flow problems are company killers. Even if it's a profitable business, it doesn't matter. Cash flow is a company killer. So we will need, worst case scenario, £15,306 in cash flow to, when we open, we're going to be losing money. And so worst case scenario, it'll be 8 months we need cash flow for before we get to a cash flow positive position. And by the way, inside the course, this is with no rent-free period. I teach asking for a rent-free period. If you get a rent-free period, again, it's completely different. So this is why it's not strictly comparing like for like, because we're comparing the best deal that I can find with my friends against not a great deal at all, because there's no rent-free period. This is a mortgage. So we're buying the freehold. Right. So that is a £60,900 cash investment. The cash on cash return in the next NOI, net operating income, so revenue versus expenses, in the next 12 months is 29,222. However, that is as soon as we become cash flow positive. It's not when we become mature. When we become mature, the figures are massively different. So that is 1 month we're making I think month 9 we're making £300. Month 10 we're making like £800 or something, and then we go all the way up to, I think in month 12 it's 2,000 something or £3,000. But when we're maturity, it's much more than that. So the cash generated, the NOI in month, I don't know, 22 to 34 will be completely different. It'll be a lot better. Hopefully I've explained that well. And so that means a cash on cash return of 48%. Compare that to the best property deal that I can find. Property in terms of buy to let is 29%. So we're getting 29% versus 48%. And I know what you're thinking. Well, the property's going up in value. Hey, guess what? This will go up in value. Obviously, I don't know the exact figures, but this will go up in value more than property will go up in value. And I know what you're thinking. It's not 100% like for like, because you do need somebody there to operate, to man it on. You don't necessarily need somebody there. Obviously, you can run it manless, but it does take time to run. I mean, Beverley and Glasgow are the outdoor sites we've got at the minute, and I can say that Beverley's a mature site, and it probably takes us an hour a week to run. So not much at all. Where if you've got a property, I dare say that by the way, my friend gutted this property. That's why I spent 10 grand on it. He gutted it. He did all the work himself. Everything is new, boiler, he did absolutely everything. And is it £10,000? Probably not. It's probably more. And so he doesn't spend any time whatsoever with complaints from tenants, because everything is new. And I get that point, but more often than not, I've got another friend who gets called out. He's got 6 properties and he gets called out all the bloody time. And so there is, let's not pretend both are passive, because they're both not. And I dare say that property is more passive than self-storage, obviously. And so I want to put that in there as well. Depends on what you want. Right, return on investment. This is including container cost. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can move it on. Right. So this is for buying the freehold. And so obviously if you're leasing, it would be completely different. So these numbers are just for you if you are leasing the containers. Sorry, if you are buying the land. Right, so the capital expenses are 45,600. The containers, including delivery, including spraying, including graphotherm, because we change the colours of the containers, are £174,000, 58 of them. we have got the site for 400,000. So the total amount is £619,600. The net operating income is 149,988. Again, this is worst case scenario. I like to make sure that this figure we can always beat, because I know that one, will sell more insurance, two, will have a higher rate as well. Will a rental rate, a rate per square foot, and also this isn't including double stacking. If you're a member of my course, you will understand that when I'm looking at container sites, I only look at the figures for ground floor. I think it's stupid, really, because then I just know if it works ground floor, I'm okay. Everything else upwards on the first floor is a Brucey bonus. And so therefore, I only include ground floor. So this is just including ground floor, which obviously there is more. So it's 149,000. So 149,988 divided by 619,600 is a 24% return on investment. And like I say, I know that your property will go up in value. But a property investor, by the way, has put in the self-storage community that he thinks it's a myth where people say it increases 100% every 10 to 15 years. He said that's a myth. In some locations that he knows, it hasn't even gone up at all in 10 years, hasn't the property values. And whether it is or not, I have no idea. I'm not a property person. I'm interested in property. I listen to property podcasts, but I have I am a layman when it comes to property, and I can only go off what people say. He says that people say it just to sell courses, and I can see that being the truth. But I can see also in different areas that property does go up in value. I know we bought this during COVID, this house, and this has substantially gone up. And again, like my friend, we bought it at the right time. We bought it when everybody was fearful, and so we were very, very lucky in buying this property. And so I guess it's like everything. It depends. It depends. When did you enter the market? So this property, I know we bought it for £400,000, and if we are making 150,000, say for example, then I know this property value has more than doubled in price. To buy this property and the business, you are talking more than doubled easily. We could sell that for more than 800,000 without a shadow of a doubt. And so the property value has gone up by, I don't know, say 60%, 70%. I know this self-storage would go up by over 100% based on these numbers. So the return on investment is 24%, and the return on investment, I think, is 10.6%. We're looking at the property buy-to-let. So that is buy-to-let versus self-storage, and I'm going to continue researching this, doing this, and I'm going to look at all aspects of property and compare it to self-storage. One, because I think that I can 100% sell more course, because loads of property people are coming into my course. We're talking about mentorship, masterminds, and it'll be interesting to see what sort of investment ratio returns they are getting compared to self-storage. And it'll be fascinating then to be able to talk to people and say, look, I know that buy-to-let you're getting this, commercial property you're getting this, this is what you get in self-storage, and compare them all. And it's something that I am really, really fascinated about, because everybody bangs on about property being a great investment. And I'm not saying it isn't a great investment, but I am saying self-storage is better. Right, so 1-0 self-storage, 100%. You property guys, don't come at me. Honestly, I haven't just got out of bed. I've been sorting the kids out and stuff, but I'm just turned back to my camera to have a look at to cancel everything down. And so you've got to look at the camera, and I'm like, oh my God, Dino, you look absolutely ridiculous. You come on. So these people on LinkedIn will be like, what the hell is Dino doing? Looks like an absolute bloody Wally. Okay, so on LinkedIn and YouTube, you can see me. Podcast, you're not missing anything. I absolutely promise you. All right, my friends, I love you. I appreciate you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.